Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio, and I know we've already looked at a Tag Team GX today, but we need to have a look at a regular GX today. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Kangaskhan has been revealed. Now, you can see by the little symbol on the card here, this is a promo, which is being given out at Japanese tournaments. Yes, they get promo GXs at their tournaments. Yes, I'm very jealous. Yes, you should be too. So we don't know how this is coming along. Some of them think Beware, get their own box, but then some of them think Alolan Raticate, get chucked into sets later on. This is, I suppose, as banal as this might seem, one of those wait and see scenarios. But I quite like this Kangaskhan, and I think this Kangaskhan could be pretty gosh darn good. Our translation comes from the lovely Tunu1223 over on Twitter, and this is a Pokemon that very much likes its confusion. Now, 180 HP is extremely standard for GXs, the basics, although things like Boswell have 190, which does make a huge difference in a bunch of matchups. The weakness to fighting similarly sucks because of both of the Boswell, because of Lycanroc. Fighting still sees an awful lot of play, it's a bad weakness to have. And annoyingly, the retreat cost of 3 means you won't get the extra HP with Brawny Pad, so there's not much going for it initially, especially when you remember it's a colourless Pokemon, and colourless Pokemon don't get any extra tricks. Let's hope that the attacks make it worth it. Well, the first attack here, 1 colourless energy, 20 damage, plus confusion. It's alright. It's fine. Seen worse. It's just not particularly good. And we got a bunch of these 20 damage plus status condition Pokemon around at the moment. It's alright. I mean, if we take something like Xurkitree, for instance, yes, it's for a lightning Pokemon, but it's 20 damage plus confusion. It's the same attack, but it's on a single prize Pokemon with a better retreat. And it can hit for weakness, which Kangaskhan obviously can't. So, it's fine, but I remain underwhelmed. It's the kind of attack where there will be games where you don't have anything early on, so you kind of have to use it so that you can just get a little bit ahead, slow your opponent down a little bit and all of that. There's nothing bad about it, but it's not an inspiring attack. The second one, however, is significantly better. 3 colourless energy, but remember you can use double colourless energy, and it's a basic, so it will fit into any deck like Malamar or whatever, and you do 80 damage. But if the defending Pokemon is confused, that 80 damage goes up to 160 damage. Well, that's a fair bit better. And 160 is good. If you're against non-GXs like your Boswell, like your Granbull, they're going down fairly easily. But even your bigger ones like your Solgaleo Prism Star are going down. Then you go and pop a Choice Band on there, and you're up to 190, so your GXs, Boswell on down, are going down. But Lycanroc isn't. And then ones like Zoroark aren't. It's a lot of damage, but it's the kind of damage we generally want to see on a non-GX. Remember, this is a 2-prize Pokemon. You're giving up 2 prizes when you use it. It's got a bad weakness, so there's going to be a bunch of matchups where it goes down way too easily. It's for free energy, which means you can't just use double colourless, you need that extra energy. And yeah, there's a million different ways to get it on. You got Malamar and Expanded, you've got Max Elixir, you could play it in a Magnezone deck, you could play it in a deck with Quagsire and Naganadel, one of these water decks running around. It's absolutely not that difficult. This will fit into a bunch of different decks. But what I just keep coming back to is, do we really want to? And that's my worry. Because if you look at something like Onyx, I know I got a bunch of grief for making a video about it, but 4 energy, 120 damage hits a great weakness. So I can see myself putting this in a Malamar deck and being like, ha, Zoroark's going down. I'm not so convinced with Kangaskhan. It is a nice amount of damage, let's be clear. It's a good amount of damage. 160 is good, but it's not quite enough to KO GXs, and you risk not being able to trade with non-GXs. Because Boswell, that can get a one-hit KO. Granbull, that can get a one-hit KO with a choice band. White Kyurem, that can get a one-hit KO with a choice band. We're in a format at the moment where getting rid of these non-GXs is good, but there's a lot of good non-GXs at the moment, and a lot of them can get a one-hit KO on this. So just getting a one-hit KO back might not be enough. But we do need to talk about how to actually get the confusion on there. What we have at the moment, and it's not the best idea ever, we've got Nihilego GX. Nihilego GX, when you play it, confuses both active Pokemon and also poisons. This I like very much indeed, because now your 190 with a choice band goes to 200 with a choice band, and then all of a sudden, hey, you know how you weren't KOing Lycanroc? Yeah, turns out you actually are. Sorry about that. Turns out I lied. Maybe I'm a terrible person. So the poison here helps. You will have to poison your active and confuse them, but just leave something like Tapu Koko with free retreat in the active, and then retreat it to Kangaskhan after you've dropped this, but then you're leaving another GX on your bench ready to be KO'd. Now there are a couple of other cards that we need to talk about quickly that have not actually been released yet. We've not seen videos about them. They will get their own videos, but for the time being, I just want to mention them quickly in this video. We'll talk more about them later. Tinnitus Bell, that's what Tunu's calling it, is another tool card. This is coming out also as part of these promos. And when you attach it to a Pokemon, if that Pokemon is damaged, even if they're KO'd, the defending Pokemon or the attacking Pokemon that becomes defending on your turn is now confused. Problem is, you can't put it on Kangaskhan because you really need Choice Band, so essentially what you have to do here is have it on something like a Tapu Koko, and then when Tapu Koko gets damaged, they get confused, and the great thing is, they're confused after they attack, which is coming into your turn, which is lovely. Yeah, they can field blower it, they don't have to attack into it, etc., but it is something that's quite useful. Another card that we just don't have time to go into today, but does bear a quick mention of, is Parasect. When Parasect is on the field, confused Pokemon take 2 damage counters between turns. So now that 190 with a Choice Band turns into 210, and something like Zoroark is going down. Free energy, plus a Choice Band, plus a Parasect on the bench. This all seems to be adding up to a little bit too much. But at least you do finally get the KOs. And then the final attack here, we see free energy, and then you do 150 and draw 5 cards. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not great, but it's not bad. 150, look, we just ran through the maths with 160. I'm not going to go through all the maths again with 1 damage counter less, but clearly it's not going to be as good. It means with a Choice Band you get Blacephalon, but you're not getting Buzzwole. It means with poison damage you're not getting Lycanroc, etc. Again, you'll still get a whole bunch of Pokemon, but you won't get as many. The big advantage of this, of course, is that you don't have to get confusion, so this is an on a turn where you don't have the confusion. As for the drawing 5 cards is really good. I mean, if you draw 5 cards off a Lily, that would be a good result, and Lily's a staple in a lot of decks. Drawing 5 cards is nice, and there's a bunch of people out there playing cards like Marshadow and Judge, but they're not going to drop them every turn. It's certainly not like when we had N in the format, and you were basically guaranteed to be end after this. So it's quite nice draw power. But the thing is, GX attacks are supposed to either be really good or just get you a one-hit KO at some point. And this might not get you a one-hit KO. And that's kind of my point all the way through when I look at Kangaskhan. Not quite enough. The fact that you've got a bad weakness and your HP's a little bit lower than you'd like is not quite good enough. The fact that the attacks are for free energy rather than 2 is not quite good enough. And the fact that the damage is enough to KO a bunch of Pokemon but you miss some key ones is not quite good enough. I'm going to be giving it free Wassies because there is a utility for this, and it can fit into so many different decks, and it can do good stuff. But most of the time it's not quite good enough, and then you've got to actually worry about the confusing. Bear in mind, right, if we look at Buzzwole just does 160. And I know it can't attack next turn, but when's that ever stopped it? Buzzwole can just plain do 160 and hits a good weakness. Kangaskhan, you've got to get them confused. And yes, I know Kangaskhan can use double colourless, and it's way more techable, and that's probably why. But I'm not digging it as much as I could, ladies and gentlemen. I see it as largely underwhelming, but it could be just a nice attacker if you can get the energy on and the confusion. Alrighty then. That'll do for right now. I've told you what I think about Kangaskhan. But I want to know what you think about Kangaskhan. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays for some more Wassie action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.